I almost went about it as a sales process. I went on to Crunchbase. You can set like seed investors in tech with some sort of specialization. So I made these lists. I am from Boston. I am in Boulder, and my at the time COO had many connections into San Francisco. So I made a San Francisco list, a Boston list, and a Colorado, Boulder, Denver list, and went through the listings and just reached out. Like, here's my one pager. Here's our deck. I would love to take you through our deck. You're never supposed to send the deck. You send the one pager and then you offer to take them through the deck. And so many of them would say, we don't do anything, sub $1 million in revenue. And I was like, but then you're not seed. Like, don't tell me that you're seed. Don't put that you're seed on your website in Crunchbase and then say that you have $1 million revenue requirement. Like, if you're true seed, you should have no dollar revenue. Like, certainly there needs to be a proof of concept, but you don't need to be asking people for $1 million in revenue. So that was super frustrating for me. And then unfortunately, I would go into these like, we invest in women and some of these angel groups, and I would present to the angel group. And because our niche was so specific, a lot of these groups had a hard time. Like, one person would be like, I'm the head of channel marketing at Microsoft, and I totally get what you're doing, and this is great. And the rest of the group were like, I invest in food, I invest in services, I invest in fintech. So that I think was super challenging as well. And I think just in general, at the beginning of the pandemic, people were not investing in anything. And then they were investing only in things that could immediately support what was going on globally. And I was like, but we're video capability. Like, we're basically helping a salesperson sell without having to be face to face. So that was super frustrating. I think too, on the other side of it, like, everyone was going through something personally, and that was no different for me either. Like, we were losing family members, and I don't know about you, but doing a funeral on Zoom does not feel like closure.
No.
And it was incredible. My kid, at that point, so when you sent that check, I had a 1.5-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. They're now almost 4, almost 6. But it was, my kids are downstairs. There's a nanny who we're bringing in who might have COVID. Like, things were just super, super tense at that time. So every little thing just felt like, I used to call it death by 1,000 cuts. Like, any one of those things and I'm totally fine. All of them together,
Right.
and I was not okay.
No, I think it was a challenging time for everyone, but clearly you persevered and stuck with it. And I mean, we're incredibly proud of that at York IE. I hope you know that. We've shared that with you 1,000 times. Any key pieces of advice for folks who are fundraising now and not to, balance world issue with world issue, but clearly we're in another challenging time here. We know plenty of portfolio companies or companies we're speaking to on a weekly basis that are fundraising. Are there any, words of encouragement of sticking with it that you could share for other founders and entrepreneurs out there now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, find a partner who gets you and who genuinely cares about you. So I'm going to tell a little story. I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. Embarrass myself, maybe. We were in the height of that. I think it was the end of 21, right? So it had been like a year and 9 months at that point. And the company who eventually acquired us and 2 others had approached me about acquisition. And I was on a call with you and Kyle, and I was like, we're going to get acquired. And both of you were like, no, you're not. Like, you're not there yet. You're not ready. What's going on? And I had gone off camera and was like, oh, my Wi-Fi is bad. I'm going to go off camera. And as soon as one of you said, what's going on? Like, I lost it. Like, and I hate crying in a business setting. I was always taught you don't do that. And And Kyle was like, turn your camera back on right now. And I was like, I'm in so much trouble. And I turned my camera back on, and Kyle, you and Kyle were both like, what's really going on? And I just told you, like, family stuff and my kids are this, that, and the other thing. And as the words were coming out of my mouth, I was like, what are you doing? What do you, like, you can't tell your investors this. And both of you were like, the money doesn't matter. The company doesn't matter. Your family matters. Your mental health matters. Like, you need to take a week and figure out what you need and come back to us and ask for what you need. And that was like, sorry, what? Who are you guys? What's going on? But not any other investor, some other investors may have not been that receptive and shied away from it. Like, I felt like you both leaned into it and you were like, have a good cry, let's go. So you have to make sure you have the right partners. You have to, and I think that the sort of old stereotype of an investor is like, they're now your boss, you owe them everything, you have to. I really, after that moment, looked at it as, these are my they want me to be as successful as I want to be, right, because they're going to do well if I am. So I think that was a big piece of it. I think a lot of entrepreneurs put undue pressure on themselves, and they think it's about time and they think it's about family. So being the daughter of an entrepreneur, I can tell you, your employees, your investors aren't in 30 years aren't going to remember all the things you did. Your kids will. Your kids will remember that you weren't at their basketball games, that you weren't focused on them, that you were like, certainly my parents didn't have iPhones, but the second dinner was over, they were on laptops and they were focused on that. And they were trying to like help me with my math homework while responding to email. So I think that is a major piece of it. And if you're not okay, no one else is going to be okay. So your employees, your investors, everyone else. So you need to be able to say, I need to step away. I live in Boulder. Right now I'm in headquarters in Whitby, Ontario, Canada. I needed to just log off and say, I'm going for a hike and I will be back in 2 hours, and we're not saving lives here. Like, no one's going to die because I went on a hike.
Absolutely.
But my kids might feel the repercussions of that. I might feel the repercussions of that if I don't go on a hike right now.